Hey, what is going on, car guys and car gals? Welcome to the Car Guy Coffee Podcast. This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And this is Frelin Arts, the subprime hero.
And we are excited to be brewing solutions with you this morning. If you are listening on the podcast, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy this on your ride, on your run, and during your routine. And if you are catching this live, do us a favor and tag a car guy. Tag a car guy and share.
Yeah, come on.
Get the word out, folks.
Have some fun. We're about to have a great time. We have somebody that's coming in the cafe today, somebody that is serving up some new technology out there, showing people what's going on in the Metaverse, what's going on in all kinds of commerce. The future of digital transformation. This guy is a pioneer. I'm excited to bring him on. He's all the way down there in sunny Florida. Come on, Naples. Woo, it's beautiful down there. I tell you what, nice and warm. Most days, right? So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to have him on the show. Pumped up, man. This is going to be a great way to start off this week and get it going. Hope you guys are ready. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, so we changed the date to a Tuesday instead of a Monday. So we're excited to have this special brew just for you with our man and our good friend.
Yes, we are so excited to introduce to you all, without further ado, because you definitely want to hear him speak. So share this around. But we're going to welcome in the one, the only, Brian Kramer. Woo, there he is. Welcome, brother. How we doing?
That's like a Super Bowl intro.
Well, you deserve one, man. You're doing some amazing things out there. You literally are the Tom Brady of what's going on in the Metaverse, what's going on in digital transformation in automotive. It's huge, and I'm excited to speak with you today. I'm excited to share your story. Welcome to the cafe. How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm looking forward to this high-octane show.
That's right. That's right. Well, we are caffeinating the culture. So we want to make sure that we do get plenty of people jumping in here. We have an incredible solutionary that's in the room, everybody. So make sure that you tag your friends, tag your enemies. We don't care. Make sure that everybody knows that we are brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee Podcast. And we have a really incredible car guy that's brewing with us today that we are honored to have on the show. Brian, you've been doing things that inspire so many people in different ways. I don't know if you have a full grasp on the amount of fruit that you have out there that's attached to a seed that you've sown into this industry. And because of the great things that you've been pouring into this industry without wanting back, it's almost like greatness is chasing you, because all that you're doing is pouring out the greatness that's inside of you. And I want to show a quick clip to our audience of how it was that we met Brian. And the story can start off a little weird, right? Hey, we were in a bar and he was on a chair yelling at a crowd, right? So that's how we can start.
I remember that.
We can start the story that way.
Just everybody knows I don't know where this is going.
He doesn't know. We didn't practice this. Fred doesn't even know, right?
I kind of have a little inkling of what it is.
He's got a little bit, right?
But this is fresh. I can't wait to see it.
Yes, it is. But in this, you have a bunch of car guys in the room. Right? Yeah. You got a bunch of car gals.
I mean, the greatest across the nation. Some of the people that are leading in the industry in so many different ways. Just amazing night.
It was. And so with that, comes lots of egos. They're all over the place, right? They're everywhere. And, we're in an atmosphere where we are really trying to lift everybody up. And shout out to Paul and shout out to Kyle. They put on an incredible event that united car industry people together. And this is our first
State of the Union. Yeah, they do a great job.
Right? We're running around signing hats, right? Enjoying a great time together. And in that, Brian, make sure to share gratitude, lead with gratitude, that entire room. Thankful for the people that put it together, and just shouting out to the people that were in the room. We're just grateful to be in here, rather than what could happen in a lot of cases, is a little bit more chest swell up, a little more, hey, you know what I mean? Look at what I can do, right? No, he's leading with gratitude. And I believe that's why he's being chased down by great people, by great results.
Oh man!
And want to show
he's at every big event right now. Everybody wants him to come speak or at least be part of the crew, because they understand what he brings. He brings value. They always say your network is your net worth, right? The people you surround yourself with is what you'll rise up to. And you want to be around people like Brian. I know, Brian, you want to be around people that are being creative and doing things that are unique too. And that's what makes you great. And I'm excited to show this. Let's go. Let's see this.
For that, I would say thank you, Paul. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Lodge. You inspired me today. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Damon. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And I'm just glad to be here. I appreciate that.
I'll tell you that event was fire.
Right?
That was a great night. There were so many people that just kept showing up. Shay Rowbottom, I mean, you guys saw that there. Shay Rowbottom's somebody I follow big on LinkedIn for a long time. One of the biggest reasons why I went ahead and just jumped onto social media and went for some videos that were unique to myself. She gave me a lot of courage. So it was really a great night. You know, just look at that crowd as you spun that around.
There was a little cameo of a lot of people inside of that. We can tag a lot of people in this post. Right?
Oh man, Liz Borches, you can keep going. I mean, Glenn Lundy, you just keep rolling. Brian Benstock, you know, I don't even need to stop.
Damon Lester.
Yes. I mean, come on. What a
people.
night. What a fun area that was. And looking forward to Tampa again this year. So,
Yeah,
but no, man, we're excited to have you on the show. Welcome to it. But before we do anything, and before we go any further, we got to get you into the club, right? The club is the solutionary club. And we have these 3 Fs, the 3 F bombs that we drop with everybody. You see it right here on my chest. It's forgive, focus, and fly. So let's do this. Lou, introduce them.
Okay. So car guys and car gals, as you can see, that this is a solutionary that leads with gratitude. Okay. So as we get to the different perches of our life, or we reach the different hills in our life, or we reach the different valleys, we make sure that we wipe off the weight of unforgiveness. We focus on where it is that we are going and going to fly to next. And then we stretch out in faith, fly, and then we keep growing. So Brian, you're going to get the opportunity to forgive, focus, and fly with us. So on 3, car guys and car gals, help us out. Whether you're driving, if you're driving, do the one hand on it, but put your hands on your shoulders and forgive, focus, and fly with us. And let's get this 5-liner started. 1, 2, 3, forgive, focus. Get it right there.
I'm following you. I'm with you.
And keep growing. That's
There
right.
we go.
Yes.
There we go. All right. Here we go. Now
you are
it's
in it,
time
man. You are now
to
a
start the
solutionary.
5-liner.
You're in the club. So now we can ask you these 5 questions.
Yes, it's time.
Man, the very first question, I love to ask this question. And I always say it's my favorite one. Actually, they're all my favorite one. And I say that
a lot
too.
of favorites.
It's truth. I love doing this, and I love meeting people, and I love getting to know people more, especially amazing people like you. So the first question I ask is your why, your drive. What gets you moving? What makes you groove? What makes you wake up every day and say, I'm going to go for it and be the best version of myself?
It's I had a call with somebody this morning, a manager that used to work with us. His name's Vinny, and we talked about that. He's talking about the impact that he's making on people, and he goes, I now realize what you're talking about when it's not about the money, and all the time that put into that, and he's putting into others, and that cascading effect, and really that is a byproduct of our management team and the effect that we all had on him. And the effect of our mentors, mine, I can speak to mine personally, the mentors that spent the time and took the time to develop me like that. So it's almost, as he said, and he goes, and I said, what caused you to do that? And he said, well, I remember you telling me that it's your obligation because somebody took the time to develop you. And now you have an obligation not to keep that within. You have to pass it on. And you've got a duty or responsibility to develop others.
That's 100%. That's
100%.
Wow.
With great power comes great responsibility. But, people who honor that, really honor that. And that's a huge thing. You have to honor those things. The things you've been taught, pour into others. It's not just for you to hold on to as a secret. Give it to others. Let them grow. Your legacy is what you really have at the end of your life, really. It's not the money. It's not this. I mean, it's all part of it, but it's not the true thing. It's not the thing you're going to regret at the end of your life. And
I called one of my mentors, Chris Kirby, this morning. I was with Joe St. John yesterday, and he said, you really need to call Kirby. I haven't talked to him for a long time. So I called and thanked him because I tell a lot of stories that he taught me, but he doesn't know that, and he, thanked me for making his day because he had a profound effect on me. And I think you also got an obligation to pay it back and let him know that you're, paying it forward.
Man,
right.
100%. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to let them know and give honor to them. A conversation like that, and that is cool. That is cool that you had that conversation the day before, and that just struck you to say, you know what, you're right. And then you honored that. That's beautiful. That is what's supposed to happen. Let people know, because a lot of times they don't know. We secretly admire a lot of people. We secretly have mentors that we've maybe even never met, like Gary Vaynerchuk for me. I've never met the guy, but he's a mentor of mine. I pay attention to what he's saying and doing, right? And he's so right on the money in most cases, right? And I totally love that. So that's great that you honor that and you honor your mentors. It's huge because it is a big deal to them in a sense. It's not about the money. It's about that legacy at the end of the day.
Seeing
100%.
The duty to develop others. Yeah. That is how we make sure that there is a legacy to even leave, right? You pour into other people so that you can see something grow in others later on. And I mean, we are going to be all grayed out. Maybe eventually I'll be able to grow a beard. I don't know. But at some point or another, we're going to see many generations enjoying the things that we are toiling through right now, right? Us finding a way to get through some of the struggles that we consider struggles now. They're just the challenges of our day. But really, it's not so much that they're just challenges. These are the opportunities for us to grow, right? As industry is plowed forward, it's plowed forward because it ran into a challenge. It had to brew a solution, and it brewed a solution and made the whole thing better. And that's a perpetual thing that keeps happening. And you're leading the way all the way inside of the worlds of the auto industry, but into the metaverse. And there's so much that goes into that. And so many of us are linked into this business different ways. But what was it that brought you to the automotive industry?
I was detailing cars, and I was actually I was working at a health food store. Guy gave me his business card if I ever needed anything. So I asked him. I told him I wanted to sell cars, and he said, "Well, you can't just do that. Nobody can just walk it off the street and sell cars, like it was some rocket surgery type situation." But I was detailing cars, and then also the lot porter, and I was enrolled to go to Ohio State, and I saw what the money these guys were making back then, and which was a long time ago, almost 3 decades ago. And I ended up that summer being able to have the opportunity to sell cars. The gentleman, Brian Jordan, gave me the opportunity to do that. And he took a flyer on me because a lot of people, I don't know that I would have. But, I ended up working out. And then, when it came time to do that, I'm like, I'm already making this much. I don't know that it was the right decision. But, just like you're saying, a lot of the things that happen for a reason. Every opportunity is a problem in disguise. Yes. And a lot of the landmines that I stepped on along the way, I try to make sure that nobody else is stepping on them. Right. People told me not to step on them. A lot of them I tested anyway. Just I had a lot of shrapnel, and right. Got the battle scars to prove it. But trying to pay that forward as well. But that's how I got into car businesses. Yeah. And then they said, if you can sell this guy a car, and I wasn't selling cars at that point, they pointed at somebody on the showroom floor. Rode along with him on the test drive, and he said, do you know about this? Do you know what ABS is? And I said, I have no idea, but I really need to sell this car because my job depends on it. Wow. I go, so I don't know what the answer is, but we're going to figure out a way to make this work together. One way or another.
That's right.
Sold him a car. It was a Toyota Tacoma. And had that gone a different direction, I would have as well.
Oh,
wow.
Awesome.
How crazy is that?
I love that he talked about the landmines, right? And going through the landmines, it's crazy because you can get blown up on it. And the thing that some people don't recognize, I mean, even inside of in any business, is that sometimes somebody goes through the landmine and doesn't go off for somebody else because it already went off on us, right? They're never going to know the price that we paid to get them to where it is that they are right now, right? It's like it already popped. They're not going to know that pain that it took to get where it is that they are now. Just like many people coming into the industry right now have no idea what it took to adapt over the past 2 years of what it was like selling and what it's now like selling, right? And then being able to still turn that into the way that we sell in the future. There's just so much that landmines go off. And if they go off, that's it. You can't engage a landmine. It went off. It's over, right? And so you can either be a survivor of the landmines going off, or you can be broke up in a bunch.
Or you can listen to some people that know where they're buried and not stuck there. Hopefully,
don't go there. Right? That
like the people, half the people in this business weren't in the business prior to 2011, so they've never been through a down market. They've never been through a recession or multiple recessions, and they can avoid all that stuff now. If most people are like myself, I'm gonna go, yeah, whatever. And I got to sit there and test it myself. And like in the Christmas store, I got to lick the metal pole just to see if my tongue will really freeze to it. And that's typically how I like to do it. I don't do it twice, but I always have to question, is it really that bad or is it really like that? And just step on it for a second. But my advice to everybody is just to take everybody's advice who's been through the battle.
That's right, man. That's
but that's why it's amazing to have people like you out there. I'm a lot like that in a lot of ways. There's certain things that if someone gives me advice, I'm probably gonna go with it, right? But there's a lot of things that I want to test out myself. I'm very hands-on, want to learn. I want to take apart that remote control car and figure out how it works, right? And then put it back together and see if it works even better. Or so that's just who I've always been. And I get that about you, and I think that's great because there's a lot of people that look up to you as a mentor. And as you're able to pour into them, it makes it that much easier for them to be able to transform into this world and to be a great leader, a general manager of an auto group that's just dominating their area, right? And just doing amazing things and sharing that with the country. What I love about you is your openness. And I think that's something that you got from mentorship. And I know that you have. I know that with you, you've already talked about a couple people, and I love that. That's beautiful that you honor and that you bring honor on them who, you know, besides the ones you've talked about, or if you want to talk about them some more, please do. I love to learn about these people, but who have been mentors to you throughout your automotive career that's helped you get to where you're at today?
So I would say that's probably my superpower is I've been like Forrest Gump in the right place at the right time with the right, been able to meet just unbelievably amazing people every step of the way. And a lot of it, you know, my poor wife, I used to take her on vacations in my 20s and we'd go to, you know, Dallas to visit Park Place dealerships. Or if we were in Vegas, I'm like, hey, let's just take a cab before Uber. Let's go over to Fletcher Jones. I want to go take a look at that operation. Or I wanted to look at Don Mealy in Orlando when we were on our way to Disney before AutoNation bought him. And just go visit Jim Dunn at JM Lexus to see how well he does things. So a lot of those people that I sought out because I wanted to see the best. Grant Cardone, everybody told me not to take him seriously when he first came into the dealership back in the mid-90s. And they go, man, that guy's crazy. He's talking about giving people prices up front and doing all these things. And he had a profound effect on me. During the recession, we used to talk, and he was calling me trying to reinvent just the way we were handling everything. He goes, you know what, I'm not happy with this. I think I need to innovate this. We need to tweak this, the way we're handling phone calls. Dude was always, still is, just constantly sharpening his blade. John Melashenko, who runs the other side of our Germain group, Dave Kaler, I would say my closest mentor is like an older brother to me, who is the president of AutoNation. And just all these, I could go, Bob Hollinshead has been mentoring me lately, who's like the Yoda of used cars. And you think you got something figured out, and then you're talking to this dude, and he just makes your brain explode and show you a whole different paradigm that I didn't even know existed. I thought I had, a lot of things figured out, and I just figured out how much I didn't know.
Man, we need to get him on the show. We need to get that.
And I'll he's the, he's the GOAT.
He's the guy.
And I'll tell you what I've been also been mentoring me lately is the managers that I have here, like Ryan Wieben, who's the one that introduced me to the Metaverse. He's our new car director, or Jared Kilway, and all these younger guys, and Steve Dietrich, who's our internet sales manager, and these guys that are 15 years younger than me, that are reverse mentoring me and teaching me the technology side of it. I help them out with the people side of it, and able to integrate the old and the new, and it's a lethal combination. And Wendell Hardy helps me guard it. But we really we're constant. That's really, now we got everything smoothed out. It's just an incubator of just like an orgy of just ideas. I
love that. It's a board of advisors. You guys all get together and you advise each other on your strong subjects, and you help each other grow. That's something beautiful about that, and that's awesome. That's going on in your workplace. And when you have that kind of synergy, you realize that we haven't even reached our potential. We're not even close yet. We have so much growth potential. That's what makes it exciting, is that you say, hey, I've been doing this a long time, but I still see so much change and opportunity coming. When I first started this podcast, and our very first show was 1/20/2020, right? And that was when we started doing, we were just recording and doing things. And as we started to grow, I remember I had somebody walk up to me, and he says to me, he goes, what? Eventually you're going to run out of ideas. I was like, what are you talking about? I said, we're in automotive. I said, it's constantly changing. He goes, it doesn't change that much. And then COVID hit. Right. Literally right afterwards. I'm like, no, listen, all kinds of stuff happens. I've been doing this for, a couple of decades, not quite as long as you, but I've been doing it, and I've seen recessions, and I've seen different spikes in automotive. I've seen used car crisis, a new car crisis. I've seen it all. And well, not at all. I've seen a lot, I should say. I've seen some really unique stuff. But I know that there's always going to be something else that changes again. There's always going to be a new idea. And that's what I love about it. And that's why I think I'll be doing it for a very long time. Meeting people like you and being able to have mentorship through just being from afar and listening to what you have to say makes me even more interested. And I love that you have that inside your group of just your board of advisors at your store. I think that's beautiful.
And when COVID hit, that's when you find out who your mentors are. Very soon as COVID hit, I called Dave O'Brien from Quantum, and I said, "Hey, what are you seeing?" Because I don't, I'm seeing this, and I said, "I'm seeing this on this side," and they ended up birthing Quantum because he owned Marcom and Predictive Index. He was an agent for Predictive Index, and it formed into this whole thing because there's a whole nother need that's not being met at the moment, and that morphed into that. Tommy Gibbs is another used car. I was calling him up, "Hey, should I go, long on inventory, short on inventory, volatile? What are you seeing?" This is unprecedented times. So you really need to have people like that to lean on when times get tough, that you can pick up the phone and, in case of glass, in a case of emergency, break glass, you need that person to call on the phone.
Yes, 100%. I absolutely agree that there is no said value that we can put on explaining what it's like to be able to reach out to somebody to get either advice, to be able to vent, or to be able to learn something. And we threw up Colby Joyner, who absolutely loves you, and we absolutely love. The industry absolutely loves Colby Joyner. And
I'm a huge fan of Colby.
Yeah, he is a merger of incredible ideas from so much exposure on different sides of the industry. And that's where we find
a true student of the game.
Yes,
Boom.
An incredible student.
And a great friend. Just going to say, I just love
friend.
The guy. Real quick shout out to Kobe. Love you, bro.
Love you, brother.
Love you, man. You're awesome. So thank you for being here.
And he made a little cameo inside of that video too, right? He was in there with the big.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. But he's constantly sharpening his blade. He'll text me all the time. "Hey, what about this? We're thinking about this. Do you have anything about this?" And that's the same stuff that I was doing when I was his age, and I'm just a combination of all the people's brains that I picked.
Amen. Absolutely, that's so true. And in that, because Kobe is open, like we are open, and you are open. We are showing so many people that it's okay to be open to new ideas, to letting other people cut on you, to letting other people smooth out the rough spots, and other people to walk you through, no matter the generation, right? No matter if they've been in this business forever or they're new in this business and they're seeing something happen on their side of the business that we can brew a solution for, right? What Brad says, Kobe just told me a week ago the Kramer always gives.
Right. When he asks for a glass of water, I tell him, "Here's a fire hydrant. Take a sip."
I love that. Yeah. Brad's a trip, man. That's another one of those guys. You got to love that guy.
We're gonna get Brad on this show soon too. Man, can't wait.
I'll tell you on that note, a funny story. I did the same thing with Jim Dunn at JM Lexus, and I did the same thing with Bernie Marino up in Cleveland. Bernie Marino and I were going back and forth, and then all of a sudden he just took off, right? When he was a Mercedes-Benz dealer Cleveland. And I kept on seeing at the dealer meetings, and I'm trying to pick his brain. And we're at Mar-a-Lago, and he goes, "If you want to know, just stop by my store." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. You're just telling me that to throw me off base." And so I got in my car when I got back, and I drove up to his dealership, and I said, "All right, I want to." And he showed me everything, right? And I said to him, I go, "What are you doing all this for?" I was very skeptical because I'd never seen anybody be that open about things. And you were saying earlier, I'm sure you've had mentors that did the same. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me. And I go, "Bernie, why would you share all this stuff with me?" And he said, "I don't know. You're the only one that's ever asked."
I love that. I heard a similar story about Michael Jordan and Emmett Smith. And Emmett Smith was like wanting to have a meeting with Michael Jordan because he wanted to start his business. He's just retiring, and he saw that Michael Jordan's business was great. And he reached out to him, and he said, "Yeah, Michael Jordan flew me out. We sat down, we had dinner, we talked." And I might be making some of this up, but this is what I remember of it, right? And we sit down and we talk, and he's giving me all the advice in the world, and I'm just like, "Oh my God," and Emmett Smith is Emmett Smith. Come on now, right? But at the same time, he's looking at Michael Jordan. And he asked Michael Jordan, he goes, "Man, I appreciate you. I know you're a busy guy. What made you say yes to having a meeting with me?" He goes, "You asked." And that's 99% of it is that you ask and you reach out. And that's something that I've learned, and I've been very blessed and so lucky that I've asked a lot of amazing people like you, Brian, to come on the show, ask them to come on, and, just hoping they would. And they have, and our show has done really great because it's not about Lou and I at all. It's about our guests and people like you doing five-liners, learning about where you come from and learning about the next question, actually.
Really, which is how we brew solutions in the good times and the bad times.
That's right.
When business is great, when business is crazy. Like Fred said earlier, we jumped into the podcast right before everybody all of a sudden went hermit right? Everybody went inside, everybody closed away, and everybody was sad and didn't know what to do. And we're still sitting here. No, we got more time to podcast. We have more time to make videos. We have more time to have fun talking about solutions in the industry and bringing that joy. And inside of that, that's what's awesome about the whole mentorship aspect, is that you have people that can cut on you to make you better, but also for you to say and reach out to and say, how can I get better? You know, Emmett wants to know how to be like Mike. You know, how do I get to your level? How do I continue to grow? Just like a new guy getting on the floor that spends some time with the top guy. How do I get to your level? What are you doing? Let me see what's working right for you. I don't want any of your bad habits, but I do want to learn what landmines you ran into. And since we were talking about the landmines, let's ask about it. Where has it been inside of your industry? Because there's many people who are different stages of their career. Right. And not everybody has somebody they can call. We're blessed when we do have somebody we can call if there's an issue. But we want to be able to know, what do we do when we have a hard lesson that we're going through? So what was Brian's hardest lesson in the industry so far?
Man, I've had so many. There was a few, you know, when I went from privately held dealerships to AutoNation, that was a major culture shock, because you didn't have the autonomy, the ability to innovate everything, but you also had access to all this information and all this process and all these different, you know, best ideas from all over the country. And a lot of the stuff I didn't want to do because I pushed back, because I didn't, for whatever reason, didn't think something would work, or I thought I had a better way. I wasn't looking at it from that big of a scale of how it would affect everybody. You know, how me training the same way would allow somebody else to get promoted into another opportunity or somewhere else, or the synergies of doing everything the same way, like the processes at Disney or Ritz-Carlton or all these other things.
Right.
But I now find myself doing a lot of those things because I understand the why. I think that in many cases, they just told us what to do. They are so big and they move so fast that they didn't always tell us why we were doing it. So my job is to do that. But I'll give you an example. Up until, I don't know, 5 years ago, not even 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I've only been in bad situations. I would go into a dealership. I shouldn't say that. The Lexus stores I began at were number one in a bunch of things in the nation. But when I first took on an assignment at a Mercedes-Benz dealership in 2004, or 2003, when I was a GM, and I went into that store, they were only selling maybe 12 new and 6 used. I thought it was going to be easy. I'm like, well, hell, you know, I sell twice as many cars that in a month. Mm-hmm. But when I went down there, I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to move that needle. When you only have, 10 parking spaces and you've got 700-800 day-old cars, and you don't know how to read a financial statement and all this overwhelming things that you have to figure it out. Or there was another time when I got extremely humbled when I was running multiple dealerships, but I was all about, me doing everything, not delegating, get my work done through others. And I wouldn't raise my hand and ask for help. It's one of the biggest mistakes that I've made time and time again. And every single time there was all kinds of people who wanted to help me out, or even my staff that wanted to help me out, but I wasn't making it clear as to who needed to do what, when, and how often. So they would leave and they're like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. And I'm like, nah, it's good. I'll handle it all. And in that process, you clip their wings, and you limit their ability to, when you micromanage people, you don't empower them and you don't trust them, and that's the key to digital retail, metaverse, anything like that. There has to be massive amounts of trust. And if they can't be trusted, then they have to be held accountable for that. But trust is the glue that allows you to, like WD-40, go faster or go slower. And if you don't have trust, then the whole thing goes down. And anytime I've been in a bad situation, it's either because I didn't trust the staff or they didn't trust me, which typically was because I didn't trust them. And a lot of those times, every 3 years, I would go in and out, and I go into, get a store fixed, and then, okay, we're going to drop you into this situation. Store's not sales efficient, 68%, 72%, 3 and out, and we'll stick you somewhere else. And it was like that for the first, 15, 18 years of my career. No longer than that, 20 something. And this is the longest I've actually ever worked at a dealership, because it's always been, I only worked for 2 companies, Germain and AutoNation, but it was always different locations, right? And different assignments.
Right.
And when I came to the Toyota store, there was a lot of opportunity. It wasn't what you think of when you think of it today. we were at the bottom of every index. CSI, retention, sales efficiency. We were number 1 in PVR. Wow. And we were making which those lessons can be, that's a different conversation for times like this when we're charging over MSRP. But I know what that felt like for the 3 years after that, putting it back together. And I don't think that everybody else that's doing that now realizes what comes after this, because it's painful. And the managers I have that went through that are guarding it to never let it go through that again, because they know the feeling of calling all these customers up. Oh, after, how much you charge me? You think I'm coming back? No. Or, you think people don't want to make phone calls now? Try getting them to make phone calls in that situation. Yeah. If you average it out over a 10-year period of time, did it really, because you have to buy back all that business, right? Apologize. So did the PVR, was it really that much more, or does it just dollar cost average itself out? And, they're making tough decisions with people that aren't morally and ethically sound, because that's a non-negotiable for me. I'm not, there's certain things that I'm not like can't budge on this or this. There's something, obviously I'm stubborn on a lot of things, but I'm open to everything and I'm attached to nothing except for being ethically and morally sound. My management team included. But that's the most painful thing. And I'll leave it at this. When I first got to this Toyota store, I'd worked for Rick Germain since I was a kid. We talked about, what was going on, but there's a lot of things that he wasn't aware of, right? And I told him, I said, it's kind of like a broken bone that hasn't been set correctly. It's going to have to be rebroken because it wasn't set correctly the first time, and the re-break hurts a lot more because it's intentional. They know it's coming. And, but that's why nobody wants to do the re-break, because everybody wants to find an easy solution. So it was a J curve. It went down, and it was extremely painful. And I had to be in a lot of painful meetings with him, SET. And that's typically why a lot of people won't just tear it all the way down, because that is so painful. And it was painful for me. Bags under my eyes, not sleeping.
Sure.
That's the stuff that right now it looks, shiny. We're winning on the outside, but that's the backstory of it. And it was brutally painful. It was not easy. It was a lot of questioning, a lot of indecision. Why are you digging in on this? Is this really that important? Is this the hill you want to die on? And all of those things, that's, you have to pull on your mentors. You're going to pull on your past experiences. And that's when you need to be the most resolute, is when you believe in something. It's like we got off advertising price. We won't advertise price anymore. And we made that decision. There was a lot of times, okay, we need to drive traffic. We need to do this. We're either doing it or we're not doing it. And you can't say it, because the trust that you build with your team, if you say, okay, we're not going to advertise price, we're just going to go on the experience. And all of a sudden, okay, we missed our number. Now we're going to do 199 payments again. And you flip flop like that. It sends this indecision, right? Right. And they think it's like a Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. Okay, well, then this is going to, I don't change that quickly, maybe to a fault. But when we do make a process change, we're burning the ships in the harbor. There's no going back.
I love that. And you need to, because here's the deal. Like, even if it doesn't work, how do you know until you give it a chance, right? You have to really put the effort in. And like you said, sometimes it's going to hurt. Sometimes it's going to be so painful you don't get sleep. It's going to be stressful. But once that change comes about and it becomes part of the culture, a lot of times, and most of the time, almost every time, it's something great. And that's what comes with great. Great isn't easy. Great isn't just given to you. Great is accomplished. Great is through all the fires, the pits, the landmines, through all those things is where you achieve greatness. I mean, it's never easy for anyone. There's not a person in this world that we've all seen, the greatest that have done whatever they've done in technology, in sports, in automotive sales. They've all been through it. They've all put the work in, and they know what it's like to not get the sleep, what it's like to have that stress where you invest the last dollar that you have on something that you 100% believe in, right? But when you do that and you put the work in, at the end of the day, you are so much stronger. You 10 times that bad boy, and you go big.
Right. That's right.
I love that.
And it's inspiring, not just for our listeners, but it's also inspiring for the next generation to understand that this is what's pouring out to them now. But they're going to be able to look back to see that there's people that are that heartfelt, but that vulnerable to being taught, right? There's a certain level of exposure that we have to allow ourselves to be if we're going to actually succeed, right? It's making sure that those that are following us know how imperfect we are, and that we work in a way that helps to give grace for each of our imperfections, right? Help us to get better because we complement each other by building each other up. We fill those gaps that we don't have. We don't have to have it all, but we can have it all if we have everybody. Right? We can collect way more together than if we go do it on our own. And if we find a way to pull in our nets, pull in our boats, pull in our resources, pull in all of the best thinkers, and also identify, hey, what are some of the broken processes that are breaking us consistently, right? I love how you explain breaking the leg.
But Lou, it only works if they raise their hand. And I find that so many people won't raise their hand and ask the question. And like when I was at AutoNation, I went to General Manager University and ended up becoming an instructor there. And I remember that when I went to the class, I kept raising my hand and like, oh, here he goes. Kramer's in the class. Oh my God, why did we get put in this room with him? You know, we're never going to get out of here. And I still keep in touch with all those guys most of them to this day, even though, you know, half of us don't work there anymore. And it was still like a brotherhood that we established there, one, but two, I would always at the end of the night, they would say, oh man, I couldn't believe he said that and that and that. And I said, yeah, I know. Why didn't you just ask him if you were wondering that? And, you know, I'm so glad you asked that because I didn't know. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just ask him? Why do I want to act like I don't know what I'm talking about? And I think that's something that everybody needs to get over.
Yeah,
100%. Humble yourself.
Yeah, if I'm going to get coffee and I see somebody that's going to get coffee, I want to tell them, you know what? I like coffee too. Give me some coffee, right? And inside of that's the same thing. The solutions are brewing, right? The coffee's being made.
Yeah.
And we can even put it in your cup. Yeah. We can even help make sure that cup connects to your hand. You know, but daggone it, we can't make you sip on it.
You literally
make you drink it.
You can literally ask people, a group of people, you want something to drink, and every one of them are thirsty, but half of them will say, "No, I'm good." But it's like, what are you, crazy? You know,
and then they see somebody with coffee and like, man.
But you know what I do want to point out is that you talked about that word trust and how trust does make a difference, whether it's trusting that you can learn from other people, that you could trust in your staff, like you talked about. It does speed things up. I read a great book, Speed of Trust. What an amazing book that was. And
that's an amazing book.
It is. And it's so true. I took so much from that book and the way I started my business and the way I do things with Lou and everybody that we try to do business with. I try to be so transparent because I want to make sure that we save time and which creates more money. Right. So it's just the way it works. And I love that. I'm glad you talked about that.
You just nailed it. That's it.
Yeah. And it's true. It works. It's literally that simple. There is no super formula. That kind of is in that book, but it's not. It's that simple. Just be trustful, be honest, just be righteous and do the right thing for people, honor, and do all those things. And it will explode. But that being said, I know that we've talked about some great stuff. Your why. We've talked about what got you in this business. We've talked about some mentors, a lot of mentors. And you're so right. That is like a superpower to have those type of mentorship, be able to follow those. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the hardest lesson you've had to learn. So far, you've done some amazing stuff in this industry, man. I know you can name off a lot of things. 40 under 40 automotive news. Hello. Way to go, man. Congratulations on that. And that's just the beginning. That's not even really the beginning. There's so much more coming with you. I already know that. Out of all the stuff that you've had, what has been your greatest reward up to this point?
There's, I would say going through the fire that I went through at this Toyota store with Southeast Toyota, getting general manager certified with them is not an easy task, but especially when you're coming from the 68% sales efficiency and you've got to become sales efficient, they give you a very short amount of time to do it. That one was close. You know, I didn't know how that was going to finish. It came down to the absolute wire, and their expectations are rightfully so all the way up. And that was one, but I would say the managers that I've had that reach out to me years later, especially the ones, and I can think of many that, you know, I've irritated over the years and weren't happy with me, and even sometimes left me because of it. And then they're coming back a few years later and they say, okay, I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. And the amount of, I don't know, there's at least 20 sales managers that used to work for me, with me, that are now general managers, not more, maybe probably a lot more. and you see them on LinkedIn and you see what they're doing and you see that leadership pipeline. I remember I talked to Mike Maroney, another GOAT in this industry, and he would tell me all these stories, and talking to him was like talking to Walt Disney or Willy Wonka, you know.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, you know, it was like magic, you know. And he would break down the leadership tree like a Bill Walsh coaching tree or a Bill Belichick coaching tree and look at it like that. And it was fascinating to me, the leadership pipeline and how it just spirals out. So to answer your question, the most rewarding thing is seeing the people that I put through, a little bit of pressure. I'll end it like this. The Chris Kirby, who I was talking to this morning, told me a story a decade ago. So I told him, I tell this story all the time, but I don't think I've ever told you how, the impact that it had on me. So he told me a story about this gentleman who's sitting on a park bench in Central Park, shelling peanuts, and he's looking down, and there's a chrysalis that came down from a tree with a caterpillar inside of it. And inside the chrysalis, you can see a pinhole, just small enough for the tip of his pen to come out. And he's watching it for about 10 minutes, but the caterpillar is stuck and it can't get out. So he reaches down, picks up his pocket knife, and he slits the end just a little bit just to help it along. And when he does that, it tears, and out comes this fat-bodied little winged little creature thing that walks over, and it dies. And the moral of the story is this, is that by the fluid going through the body of the chrysalis or the cocoon, it has to be slow. Even though it's painful, that slow process slowly pushes the fluid from the thorax into the wings so that when it comes out, it can fly. And if you try to accelerate the process, if you try to skip steps in the process, and you don't let the process unfold and develop the way it's supposed to, then that's the end result. And whichever way you do it is whichever end result you're going to get.
I need one of those hype buttons right now.
Man. I mean, that was like,
wow,
that was
so
a good
profound
analogy.
Hey,
that is very profound. I love that. I'm going to steal that and talk about that to some of my students.
We learned that here on the Car Guy Coffee podcast. Hello.
No,
that was a great explanation.
That was a great putting it.
If you enable people and you allow them, you don't hold them accountable, you're stunting their development.
Come on.
I love it.
And we do that sometimes inside of a posture of trying to make it easier, right? We're trying to we think we're helping, right? But it's just like that screaming kid that is just wanting to get that extra candy or that whatever they want, right? You can't give in to that, right? You have to allow the process to be the process, and seed time harvest is a process. You have to let time do its thing. My goodness,
it's like, when we learn the road to the cell, especially when you're doing it in person, you didn't want to skip things. You didn't want to skip test drive. You didn't want to skip features and benefits, because if you do, you're literally hurting yourself at the end of the day. You're hurting your customers. You're not giving them the service they deserve.
Wow.
The explanation of what the vehicle, all those things. You got Russell talking about this is a mic drop one. That is our 5-liner, but I do have another question, and it's actually from one of our people under Guy. What's up, Guy? And now I love Guy. I don't know if you've met him yet, but he's from Canada, but he's down this way nowadays, and I love him. He's very just a great young entrepreneur that's just doing some amazing things. Says, any tips for finding and approaching the right mentors? Great discussion, guys. I think it's just ask is what I would say, but what would you say, Brian?
I would say they're probably around, or they're probably people that he's worked with before. And if you're looking for them, they don't appear as mentors initially. They're the people that weren't easy on you. They're the people that irritated you. Whoa. They're the people that wouldn't let you do what you wanted to do. And they were tough on you. And after I've had many that I've quit on, John Melashenko was one of them. And he was being real tough on me. I didn't appreciate the lessons. Steve Germain's another one. The lessons I was being taught at the time. And I left, not appreciating the lessons being taught. But the ones that are the toughest on you are the ones that care, because the ones that aren't would just let you do whatever you want to do.
Amen. And that's to every one of those people. When I was your subprime manager and I was collecting stips, remember that when I said I was hard on you, right? I want those stips because
that's a great analogy.
I was trying to teach you
trying
something.
To get you paid.
Trying to get you paid. That's right. And it's true though. It's out of love. That's what it was. You wanted their deal funded more than they did. It felt like sometimes. But that being said, I appreciate that tip. That is a great tip.
Thank you so much.
That
Guy, thank you for the question. Thank you so much for that. If anybody else has a question, go ahead and drop it in the comments because we are coming to the end of this cup. But wow. There is so much that is inside of this episode. If you are just now tuning in, make sure that you go back and you rewind and you listen, but you share this around. Tag somebody that needs to hear this. If you've been watching this entire time and you know that he just put something valuable in your cup, drop somebody's name in the comment box. Let them know. Get in here, get some of that good stuff because the amount of wisdom that's pouring out of Brian's cup is incredible. Brian, wow. There's a lot of things that are coming up on the horizon for you, and this isn't really part of the 5-liner, but this is just to let people know what is cooking, what is brewing inside of your world. What are some of the biggest things that you're excited about right now getting ready to happen? Take a deep breath.
I don't even know where to begin. So, all the basics and all the price of admission stuff. If you can't sell cars online right now, or you can't appraise cars online, credit apps, I know a lot of people are pushing back on a lot of that little stuff, right? And if you can't do that, it's not about today, it's about tomorrow. So everything with us is a dress rehearsal because this show hasn't even begun yet for this team. Everything we're working on was preparing us for being able to do it online, virtual, in the metaverse. And I know a lot of people are joking about that, but the metaverse today is not what it's going to be. It's like looking at a website back in 1998 versus a website today. But that's another conversation for another day. But if you're going to transact over the phone, you transact online, transact in the metaverse, transact in whatever stuff we don't even know exists currently. That's the future of everything, right? The links still have to go to somewhere. The plumbing still has to connect, and then the people in the dealership have to execute. So thinking that it's too far off, if you're thinking that, you're already late to the party. It should have begun yesterday. In service, we're working on a Domino's pizza tracker that'll update the clients at home, in the showroom, in the lounge, wherever they are, the status of their car, working with some really cool technology, a few different vendors. We're connecting all that technology behind the scenes with IoT, Internet of Things, technology, LiDAR, to be able to, seamlessly, effortlessly connect all those dots, which is going to be the next thing. If the metaverse is the next thing, or some other mobile site or whatever it is, directly through Google or voice through Google Home or Alexa, whatever that next solution is, you got to have your processes in place tight. You got to have the plumbing connecting so that when they do that, the execution of all the other things happen.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, so we have a student solutionary that's in here right now. And he asks, let's break it down. Let's put it into layman's terms for those that are trying to figure out how does deep metaverse automotive retailing work, from Brian himself.
Right. So that's a deep question. But if you think about it, it's more of just the metaverse is really just the third version of the internet. And it's Web3. So it's going to be 5G and all the you're gonna have quantum computing coming out. It's just a very turbocharged version of a website. You still have to have a link that goes somewhere that has to connect to a process. So it's a 3-dimensional version of your website, I guess. That's a lot more interactive. There's a lot of different versions to it. It's not augmented reality, which is the AR. And when people think of the metaverse, they think of VR, which is the virtual reality with the goggles and people bumping into walls and stuff. But really, it's just compress a virtual version of your showroom, which is what we're working on. And then you don't really put like the traditional. You don't have to walk all the way around the shop and all the way. It would just be a door directly. You rethink everything. If I wanted to go in, you're either going like a mobile site. I'm going to schedule service. I'm going to order parts. I'm going to search new car inventory, search pre-owned inventory, apply for financing, praise my trade, rent a car. And each one of those will be a door. Inside of that will be but you can think about it like this. They've got digital twin technology.
Mm-hmm.
And in a delivery bay, let's say that we're doing remote deals. You can't do remote deals. We do them every day, paperlessly. But let's say that they aren't able to, we're shipping the car to them. We can't deliver the car. Well, now they can go into a virtual delivery bay and they can sit in the car. You can go haptic gloves and all, to a whole nother dimension, which is what Lucid is doing and Rivian. But let's just say in our world, you can sit there and walk somebody through program their home link while they're at home. Or they can take their phone and they can overlay it over the imaging, just like you can with Warby Parker glasses, and it'll show you where you're doing wrong or what all the lights on your car are, and be able to, it's like that. It's not some Star Wars teleportation device. It's just it's a 3D version and interactive, and it's it's obviously the most explosive part of all e-commerce.
Absolutely. Man, it's like real life Grand Theft Auto,
yes,
my friends. I mean, you literally can go inside there and do what you want and participate that way. It is the future of web, folks. If you're not looking at it and not trying to learn about it now, you are a days, months, years behind right now. It's time to catch up. It's okay. Here's the beautiful part. 30 minutes a day of educating yourself is what I tell people. Just spend 30 minutes, watch a YouTube video, read something. And after you do this for about 90 days, you'll be so much more educated than most people on any subject. So go out there and do that and get more educated. I'm going to tell you, this is the future. There is things coming. How convenient is that for somebody to be able to just sit here? Our youth, the people that are going to be the buyers of the future, they're going to be the leaders of the future. This is how they do anything they do. So understand that this is going to be a big part of what's happening. So be ready for it. Just like you said, people aren't going to buy off the internet. Okay.
All right.
It's definitely happening. So
that's the reason why I'm leaning into this, because I've been told that my whole life.
Right.
And I know how that story ends. It's like that Larry David Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah. I love that. Always wrong. That's just not going to work.
Right. No. Man, that's incredible. Well, car guys and car gals, thank you so much for spending time with us today on the podcast. Thank you so much for just throwing some extra questions out there. We are so honored to have such an incredible car guy with us. It is time for us to get ready to forgive, focus, and fly and get out of here and go do what it is that we do great. And that's upshift and uplift this industry. So you go do that where it is that you are. We are so much better today because we've been brewing solutions with the one, the only, Brian Kramer.
Thank you. You guys are fire. You guys,
I'm Fred.
You guys bring the caffeine.
Yes, we're definitely caffeinated, and we are caffeinating the culture. We're so excited that all of you had the chance to be with us today. Brian, we appreciate you, we honor you, and we're so thankful for the difference that you're making to the automotive industry.
Man, you're doing amazing things, and we appreciate everything. Man, one thing for sure, he is
100%
CGC approved.
We got to let everybody know that. Go ahead and share this around. If you are hearing this now, if you are hearing this on the repeat, know that our friend Brian Kramer is 100% CGC approved. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you later.